Monday, time to talk technology. Luis Alvarez, CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group, on the line with us. Good morning, Luis.
Good morning, Mark. How are you?
Doing pretty good. So today we're going to talk a little bit about kind of back to the future in analog versus digital, and this has to do with power plants. And I guess there are some members of Congress and the Senate that believe less is more, right?
Yeah, exactly. Ever since the Russians conducted a very well-publicized cyber attack on the Ukraine's power system that took down their energy grid for quite a bit of time. It was almost like 2 months before they were able to recover from it. Our country has been concerned about the same thing happening to us because, as you know, more and more of the tasks of every industry have become digital and automated, and some of the newer power plants virtually run themselves, and they're all computerized to the degree that they don't require a lot of human intervention to function. But that also is something of an Achilles heel, because that means that if somebody can take over all of that digital technology that runs a power plant, they can interfere with the power generation, they can redirect it, they can create power surges, which can knock out transformers and power lines. And so our Congress is somewhat concerned about that, and they're putting some legislation together that would require that any power plant would have some analog failovers or fallbacks, so that in case something like this happened and people who were working the power plant were locked out, that they'd be able to flip a switch or turn a lever or yank a cord or do something to disable that plant.
Right. So it would be, in essence, you would be going from autopilot back to manual. I understand it in the Russian-Ukrainian case, there was one power plant that was an older style plant that didn't have the automation, and they were able to still, offer power to people in particular areas of the country because they had this plant that was beyond the reach of the Russian hackers.
In a way, it kind of reminds me of the reboot of Battlestar Galactica that came out a few years ago, where the story goes that Galactica was the only Battlestar to survive the Cylon attack because it was never retrofitted with all the new fancy bells and whistles that all the other Battlestars had. And so Commander Adama and his crew were able to survive this attack and, lead the rescue of the human race from the Cylons. But similar things happen in other industries where we want to make sure that there's some sort of non-digital fallback so that
should we do
we're
this?
Not completely dependent on this.
So is this a good idea? Should we pursue this, or full speed ahead into the future? And then the other thing is, should we also be thinking about maybe protecting ourselves from an electromagnetic pulse, an EMP?
I think there's some value in having at least the conversation and doing some studies to see how, to what extent we can have critical systems within our infrastructure have some sort of analog fallback without impeding progress, needless to say, but as a measure to prevent something like this from happening.
All right, we'll talk more about that on the upcoming Saturday program. Luis Alvarez, CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group, has been our guest. Online, it's alvareztg.com. At AlvarezTG is the Twitter handle. And Luis, the toll-free number for the I-Team.
Give us a call at 866-78-I-TEAM. That's 866-784-8326.
Glenn Beck.
Him. What's he gonna do about him?
She's gonna have to do without him.
Mornings at 9.
Or do without me. Me. No one gets to get it for free, Glenn.
You actually know the lyrics of that
Power Talk
song.
1460 and 101 FM.
So